in a world where the red lines have been smudged and people hide behind the banner of free speech, guess what? There's no such thing as free speech when you're talking about the Muslims. The red line is crystal clear, so be very careful not to cross it again. And we as the Muslim community demand a public apology.
The universe is mind-boggling vast, with more stars than grains of sand on earth. If we are to take the Islamic narrative as true, the God who made 400 billion galaxies from a time span of more or less 14 billion years shows a pale blue dot near our star and a tribe of nomads in the 7th century, and particularly a 40-year-old merchant, and made this statement.
We sent not a messenger, but to be obeyed in accordance with the will of Allah. If they had only, when they were unjust to themselves, come unto you and asked Allah's forgiveness, and the messenger had asked forgiveness for them, they would have found Allah indeed after returning, most merciful. But no, by the Lord, they can have no real faith, until they make you judge in all disputes between them, and find in their souls no resistance against your decisions, but accept them with the fullest conviction.
God was so impressed with the moral character of this 7th century merchant that he said should make you judge in all disputes between them and find in their souls no resistance against your decisions, but accept them with the fullest conviction.
There is no such thing as a coincidence.
Make the judge in all disputes between them is a totalitarian dictatorship, worse than North Korea, okay, much worse. Find in their souls no resistance against your decisions is blind faith and demands humans to be mindless zombies. And of course, all that is Shirk.
If they had only, when they were unjust to themselves, come unto you and asked Allah's forgiveness, and the messenger had asked forgiveness for them, they would have found Allah indeed after returning, most merciful.
Here Allah declares that He forgives certain sins if Mohammed intermediates. Note, it doesn't say, or Mohammed asks forgiveness for you. He says, and Mohammed asks forgiveness for you. Obviously, according to Allah, Mohammed is more than just any other human.
Those who annoy Allah and His Messenger, Allah has cursed them in this world and in the hereafter, and has prepared for them a humiliating punishment.
Here, Allah, after thinking an eternity in heaven, He uses the word annoy in His perfect book. He could have said those who disobey Allah or those who do evil. Instead, He uses the word annoy. Allah exhibits human-like feelings, and Allah is even more touchy and temperate than humans, as not even humans would have been annoyed if some tiny creatures I created disobey me while I created them to disobey me in the first place, and I already know the future. So Allah is more touchy than humans. Why you tiny, puny humans disobey me? I'm frustrated. When I made you to disobey me in the first place. Okay, imagine how stupid that is. Why you did exactly what I planned in the first place to do? Now I'm frustrated. I need to see my psychiatrist, my psychologist, I don't know. Not only that, he then remembers his partner, Muhammad, and said, those who annoy me and the Prophet. So wait just a moment. Those who annoy Muhammad, Allah curses them in this world and inflicts on them humiliating punishment in the next. Those who annoy Muhammad. Does Allah means annoy God by annoying Mohammed?
O you who believe, enter not the Prophet's houses until leave is given you for a meal, and then not so early as to wait for its preparation. But when you are invited, enter, and when you have taken your meal, disperse without seeking familiar talk. Such behavior annoys the Prophet. He is ashamed to dismiss you, but Allah is not ashamed to tell you the truth. Nor is it right for you that you should annoy Allah's Messenger, or that you should marry his widows after him at any time. Truly such a thing is in Allah's sight an enormity.
I am now a child of light. Your earthly money holds no appeal to me.
$20,000. So, annoying the Prophet includes entering his home too early for dinner and seeking familiar talk. So, it's not the divine, only the divine stuff. Moreover, it cannot be the divine stuff, because then he wouldn't have said annoyed the Prophet. Because Muhammad is a human, he gets annoyed from many things. The status Allah gives to Muhammad is an insult to human dignity and human intellectualism. Okay? Allah expects all humanity to bow unconditionally and in a totalitarian way to a human, essentially. And it just happens the same human is the person who is telling the story in the first place. Okay, so unimaginable nonsense. Okay.
The day that their faces will be turned upside down in the fire, they will say, Woe to us! Would that we had obeyed Allah and obeyed the Messenger. It is not fitting for a believer, man or woman, when a matter has been decided by Allah and His Messenger, to have any option about their decision. If anyone disobeys Allah and His Messenger, he is indeed on a clearly wrong path.
It should be clear by now, Allah has a partner and his name is Muhammad. The person who is telling the story keeps putting himself equal to Allah.
Say, who is it that can screen you from Allah, if it be His wish to give you punishment or to give you mercy? Nor will they find for themselves besides Allah any protector or helper.
Sorry guys, the stupidity of the Quran is, okay, it breaks every limit. Okay, every time I go to the Quran to find a verse for something, I find another 10 verses, problematic verses. It's endless stupidity. Okay, look what this verse just said.
Say, who is it that can screen you from Allah, if it be His wish to give you punishment or to give you mercy? Nor will they find for themselves besides Allah any protector or helper.
Who is it? Who is it? This one is who is it. Guys, the Quran is endless contradiction. This one is who is it.
If they had only when they were unjust to themselves come unto you and ask Allah's forgiveness, and the Messenger had asked forgiveness for them, they would have found Allah indeed oft returning, most merciful.
One of the names of Allah is Al-Hakam, the one who always delivers justice. And yet in the Quran we find these verses.
O consorts of the Prophet, if any of you were guilty of evident unseemly conduct, the punishment would be doubled to her, and that is easy for Allah. But any of you that is devout in the service of Allah and His Messenger, and works righteousness, to her shall we grant her reward twice, and we have prepared for her a generous sustenance.
Allah gives the deserving punishment to serial killers and even forgives them once they convert to Islam. But when it comes to the wives of Prophet Muhammad engaging in unseemly contact, now it's gone too far. And Allah loses his temper and doubles the deserving punishment. You might help children with cancer all your life. Allah gives you the deserving reward. But if the wives of Muhammad are devout in their service to Muhammad, Allah gives them twice the deserving reward. Now he became happy. Let's forget for a moment that Allah is the butler of Muhammad. Something we knew long before we read these verses. Is Allah just when he gives double the punishment and twice the reward? Yes, if you don't believe in mathematics. No, if mathematics matter to you.
O consorts of the Prophet, you are not like any of the other women. O Prophet, we have made lawful to you your wives to whom you have paid their dowers, and those whom your right hand possesses out of the prisoners of war whom Allah has assigned to you, and daughters of your paternal uncles and aunts, and daughters of your maternal uncles and aunts, who migrated from Mecca with you, and any believing woman who dedicates her soul to the Prophet if the Prophet wishes to wed her. This only for you and not for the believers at large. We know what we have appointed for them as to their wives, and the captives whom their right hands possess, in order that there should be no difficulty for you. And Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful.
Allah first declares the consorts of the Prophet are not like any other women. Then he declares that almost any Muslim woman can be consort of Muhammad. Unless she is his mother, essentially, any other woman can be his consort. Then he declares that he makes lawful to Muhammad more than 4 women, including slaves, in order that there be no miscomfort for him. Is it truly miscomfort for a pious man to not have a lot of intercourse? As the women that are allowed for Muhammad include not only wives but also concubines. And is it that of an emergency for Allah to include which women Muhammad can have relations with in his book In Eternity in Heaven? A book that neglects to be specific about the age of marriage, and a book that doesn't say anything about rape, for example. Thank you very much.